Welcome to the Keeping the Nostalgia Alive show. I am your host, Billy Powell. It's been a while since we've seen you guys. And of course, you can see with me is the head coach of Eastern Illinois University, Coach Marty Simmons. Coach Simmons, we had a little technical difficulties there in the beginning. Thanks for being patient with me and not making me run suicide drills. And thanks for joining us.
Excited to be here, Billy.
So who do you have tonight?
Well, I'm going to give you a political answer. I think Kansas will probably win, but I'm rooting for North Carolina. You know, I was a support staff special assistant to the head coach down at Clemson for 3 years prior to coming here to Eastern, and playing against those guys in the ACC. I'm gonna pull for the ACC team.
We have have you ever been to Houston, Texas?
I have.
Okay, you ever heard of a guy named Mattress Mac? He owns gallery furniture here in Houston.
I have not.
Okay, so he has this special going on that, the closest team to the city of Houston in the Final Four, if they win the tournament, anybody who spends more than $3,000 gets their furniture for free.
Wow.
So we went there yesterday, and I'm a gambling man, but man, we were trying out beds and stuff like that, but my idea is that I really don't want Kansas to win, so they're probably going to win.
They look good the other night. I mean, obviously McCormick, when he plays that well inside, it takes him to another level. And I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, but Agbaha. There was an article on him in the Athletic that I read, and I actually gave it to my team. And he had gone out to Phoenix in the summer and worked out with Damian Lillard's workout guy, try to get, decide whether he was going to the draft or whatever. But it was a really, really good article. And he really committed to what he was doing. There was a struggle at the beginning, but, always nice to be able to take a story like that, give it to your players. And now our players are watching him play for a national championship. So, but he really, really made a lot of sacrifices and allowed this Beckner, I believe, was the workout guy, to really push him hard, push him outside his comfort zone. And he took his game to a whole new level. I think a lot of people think maybe he's a lottery pick. But again, it's nice to be able to read that article about a month ago, and now you watch and see all the success he's had.
In the background, people can see my picture there. Coach K was nice enough to send me an autographed photo a couple of years ago. And I will post up here during our interview a picture of you and him at a game. When did you compete against him?
Well, I'm not sure the year, Billy, but it was one of the last couple of years there. I was at Evansville. We were lucky enough to be able to go and experience Cameron. Unfortunately, we were banged up when we got there. We had 3 or 4 starters out, and they put it on us pretty good. But to just experience that, and again, being at Clemson, we were able to go back there and do it again. I mean, you can talk about that until you're blue in the face, but until you're actually there and you see, Cameron, you see the crazies, and but it's an incredible experience.
Is he one of the coaches? Who are some of the coaches that you kind of even before you even got started? I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but what was that experience like? Were you nervous, or is it just another person who puts his pants on the same way that you put your pants on? How is it going up against a coach that is got the resume kind of like Coach K has?
No, it was neat. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you're going against the winningest coach, in college basketball history. And, it always a thrill. It's different in coaching probably than playing. I think as a player, you might even get more out of it, having the opportunity to play. I know they had Wendell Carter. I'm trying to think. They had the kid that was always tripping guys. They had an excellent team. They were really good. Again, we were solid, but we were banged up. But I think just as a coach, it was neat. You're thrilled to death. they don't do a lot of things that would, wow you, but the things they do great. Like they keep it pretty simple. They read things very well. And obviously with the talent level that they have, they execute it very well. It's hard to stop. And I think it's Wendell Carter. It's a kid that was drafted by the Bulls, 7 foot. The other kid was a left-handed kid that's out at Sacramento. And we didn't have the size. Obviously, you're looking right there, 7 foot, 6'10", 6'11". So we chose to sandwich and play off Carter and just give him the 3. And I think he hit 6 or 7 threes in that game. So it made us not look very smart. But, when you're playing against a team that has, more size, more talent, whatever it may be, you're always trying to, as Coach Cruz would say, pick your poison, find a way that maybe is a little unconventional and try to make them beat you that way. And they were just too good for us. But I think even though they smacked us pretty good, I think if you asked our players, just going through that experience of being out there and competing against Coach K and competing against Duke, being in a Cameron environment, that's something that I think they'll be able to tell their kids for a long, long time.
Fill me in a little bit. I requested later on this week, we're going to have the new Ball State basketball coach, Michael Lewis, on the show. And the SID told me that it's a dead week in recruiting. Is that what they call that?
Yes, it is. They always do it right around the Final Four. It's been that way for a long, long time. So you cannot recruit off campus or bring kids on campus.
It's interesting too, seeing that your furniture in the background. I had Coach Woodson on about 2 months ago, and I think maybe the universities get their furniture from the same spot.
Yeah, you might be right.
Okay, so tell everyone a little about where you're from in Illinois, and what was your dad athletic? Was your family athletic? Who introduced you to the game of basketball?
Yeah, I'm from Lawrenceville, Illinois, which is kind of in the southeastern part of the state, right next to Vincennes, Indiana. We're about an hour from Evansville, an hour from Terre Haute, about an hour and a half from Bloomington, Indiana. We got all the IU games on WTTV. So my dad was, an athlete. He actually was going to go to Memphis on a scholarship, but chose the Marines instead. My brother played on the 1972 Lawrenceville Class A state championship team. I played for a legendary high school coach, Coach Ron Felling. So kids in our hometown grew up, wanting to be basketball players. We had a young man by the name of Jay Scheidler, the Blonde Bomber. He's got a new book out, as a matter of fact, but they had the 3-point shot when he played. He'd have scored 6,000 or 8,000 points in high school. I mean, just incredible. He ended up going to Kentucky and playing on their 78 national championship team. But I was fortunate. We grew up in a town where it was really important. You had a lot of guys that were ahead of you that, you really could idolize and want to be like. I started at a young age. We had junior pro basketball there in Lawrenceville on the 8-foot baskets with small balls. And we were fortunate enough to go to the Nationals in Lexington, Kentucky. We made it to the championship game. Adolph Rupp threw up the honorary jump ball, but unfortunately we got beat. We finished second. But I mean, it was a big thing in our community being a basketball player.
And you know all about Indiana high school basketball. What's the difference? You guys had class? Of course, Indiana has class basketball now, but you had classes, and how were those classes? Were they set up by how many boys were going through the high school also?
Yes, and that was probably the biggest difference, Billy, was just that. Back when I played, Indiana had the 1 class, and Illinois at that time only had 2. So schools, I believe, that had an enrollment of 700 or 750 and below was Class A. Anything above that was Double A. We were one of the larger Class A schools at that particular time. So we certainly had an advantage with that. The neat thing with that is Vincennes, again, is only about 10 miles away. and they won the state title in 81 or 82. You know, they had Courtney Whitty, Doug Crook, Carl Donovan, all those guys. So it was kind of neat. You know, we're different states, only 10 miles away. But if you look at the success, you know, they won it in that year and we won it in 82 and 83. I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, that Adams Coliseum, I was fortunate enough to play a ball game in Addison Coliseum in 1984, and that's just a great place to watch some basketball there for the Vincent Lincoln Alice's.
We used to go over and watch them play. You know, they had the benches on the end of the court, just like Vanderbilt. They weren't on the side. So I mean, and that was a big thing. You know, and they had the square backboards, which was pretty cool. You know, when we were junior high players, we would go over and we played one Indiana Vincennes Reveille, and we were like kids in a candy shop when we were playing on those square backboards, you know, because we people forget, you know, we played on the fan backboards in Illinois. But you know, Courtney was a guy that I ended up playing with at Indiana, just a salt of the earth person, and loved being on the team with him. He's a great high school and junior college, did a great job at IU. Doug Crook actually is an alum here of Eastern Illinois. We've been able to reconnect. He lives up in the Indianapolis area, has a restaurant up there, and another one over in the Brownstown area there. And but it's been a lot of fun.
Who was Indiana always first on your radar in a college choice, or what other uniform would you have possibly worn if it wasn't for an Indiana uniform at first? I know we finished our career at Evansville.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, we got all their games, and Coach Felling was, you know, he loved the way Indiana played. We go up to the clinics. You know, we couldn't go in there while it was just the coaches, so we'd go over to Memorial Stadium and throw footballs and stuff like that. We thought that was big time for about 5 hours, and then Indiana would practice, and you'd be allowed to go in and watch them practice. But you know, I just kind of fit. You know, you didn't have to be the greatest athlete in the world, although we had very, very good athletes on the team. But if you knew how to play a little bit, you had a skill set, and you had some physical toughness and mental toughness, then you know you'd have a chance to play there. And I thought it was a good fit.
Back-to-back state championships in Illinois, or 34-0 in one of them?
Actually, yes, we won it in 1982, 34-0. We won it in 1983, 34-0. We still hold the consecutive win streak record at 68 for both the women and the men in high school basketball. And it's kind of, you know, we won it my junior year, and we're in the locker room after the game, and you know, there's a lot of emotion, the excitement of winning it, but the relief of, you know, not losing too. And our coach came in there, and, you know, we had a great player in Doug Novsak, who's on our staff here at Eastern Illinois. And he was a great scorer, just a great leader, all the above. And he graduated off that team, but we had several guys returning, and coach kind of looked at us and he challenged us. I mean, it's amazing. Here we are. We just won this dream, you know, and this goal you've had. But he said, I'm going to tell you guys something, you know, you got a chance to do something. Maybe you can tell your kids and your grandkids. You know, the state record at that time was, I believe, 64 by Quincy, that had Michael Payne and Bruce Douglas, had a, you know, great program. But he said, you know, with the guys we have returning, if we'll make the commitment, we got a chance to break that record and set that record. So he immediately, you know, even though we were having a lot of fun, enjoying it, he kind of put a challenge out there that we could do something pretty special.
Do you remember where you were at, or your initial feelings when you were named Illinois Mr. Basketball?
I was at the YMCA in Vincennes, Indiana, playing racquetball with one of my buddies. And I don't know, I can't remember, as a family member called the front desk. I don't think we had cell phones at that particular time. Is that amazing? But I can't, I'm getting old, Billy. I can't, the sports writer, if you said his name, of the Chicago Sun-Times, he's legendary. But, you know, he made the call, and I was so excited and so proud. I think when you win something like that, obviously your team deserves a lot of credit. And, there's a lot of players probably out there in the state of Illinois that was better than me, but there weren't a lot of teams that enjoyed the success that we had at Lawrenceville. Played for maybe the best high school coach the state's ever had. Thankful for that. And then just our community, it's amazing, and you look at, and it was fun, you miss this. I was a special assistant at Clemson. I wasn't able to recruit, and then COVID, but this year we're able to go out and watch these tournaments, and there's nothing like it. We're up at Indianapolis and whatever, the Noblesville sectional, and it's sold out, and then we go over to Jacksonville, Illinois, and they got the Jacksonville Bowl over there, two really 1A schools going at it, sold out, the atmosphere and everything. But it's kind of neat how communities can rally around, a high school basketball program. And we certainly had that in Lawrenceville. So, I mean, it wasn't, it might have had my name on it, but we felt like, it was a team award, a community award, and something I think we were all really, really proud of.
Well, before we continue, I got to show everybody the back of my chair. See, there we go. See, I got the Evansville thing there in the back of my chair. I want to make sure that I was, had something to show for it. I know you see the guy in the background. You see all the stuff up on my wall. So when you did make the change to go to Evansville from IU, you were already familiar with the area.
I really wasn't. I knew where the Red Lobster was because I used to take my girlfriend down there, on Friday nights for dinner. But I really didn't know a lot about the University of Evansville, to be honest. And that was kind of the neat thing about going there. I went there because of Jim Cruz, Coach Cruz. That's the only reason. And now once I got there, I learned a lot about it and I fell in love with it. But I don't even know if I remembered that Jerry Sloan and Don Boozy, but once you're there, that's one of the neat things, and Indiana has a great, basketball alumni fraternity, and Evansville does too. We played that last game in Roberts Stadium, and we had 110 former players come back for that game. Jerry Sloan was one of them. I mean, it's a fraternity of those guys because they paved the way. A lot of those guys in the 50s and 60s and early 70s, their success and Coach McCutcheon's success, led to the opportunity of Evansville having the chance to be Division I. So, I went there because of Coach Cruz. And once we were there, and I take your hat off to Coach Cruz for this, is one of the first things he did is he brought back the sleeves. And he did that as a way of showing Coach McCutcheon and all those guys that have paved the way that even though we are Division I, we know why we are. And we're representing you as we make this next step, to the highest level of college basketball. And I think it really united, everyone and the same kind of feeling there, at the beginning is like, well, what are we doing here? Sleeves, but then, when we understood what it represented, and then Coach Cruz kind of took it to another level, and, our guys are going to go to class. We're going to be different. We're going to graduate. We're going to do things the right way. So he mixed a lot of things in that made those sleeves represent, quite a bit. And we were proud of that.
Did they ever think about bringing back those purple robes while you were there?
Well, no, we really didn't. We had the purple candy stripes that we wore in the warm-ups that were pretty snazzy, but they had purple, they had orange, they had gold. I actually had one of those robes, and when I left Evansville, I gave it away. But Coach McCutcheon, in his own, and I think he beat John Wooden, but he was like the John Wooden of Evan. He just, the college division champions, undefeated, and taught math. He came in, and Coach Cruz, we wanted those guys to be a part of our program. Coach did, and he was such an ambassador for Evansville basketball, first class gentleman. And I can remember, he talked to our team, and, he talked about the single most important play in the game of basketball. And, we're thinking, maybe it's a 360 dunk, 3-point shot, something like that. And he said, no, it's taking the charge. And he went through about 6, number one, usually one of your teammates has gotten beat and you're helping a teammate. You're getting one foul closer to getting into the bonus. Maybe it's a good player for the other team, and now, he has to be taken out. I mean, he just went and he was such a smart basketball coach, but he was he did a lot of the caller when we first got there, and he was such a positive guy. But it was a fun time when I went down there to Evansville.
When did you get the nickname, and who gave you the nickname the Mule?
My freshman year in high school is when I got it. My high school coach, Coach Felling, gave it to me, and you're probably going to hear about 15 versions of this story, but they had a game of the week in the SEC. I think Joe Dean and some guys were doing the game, and Alabama was playing. They had a young man by the name of Reggie King, and I think they referred to him as a mule. And Coach was up there with some of his guys, and he said, "My golly, we got our own little mule right here." And what a nickname, and I really got to the point where I thought some of the people in our hometown really thought that was my first name, because I think they forgot Marty was actually my first name.
So was when leaving IU, was Evansville the spot you wanted to go to, or were there any other places that you were thinking of going?
Oh, initially, Billy, I probably the last place I wanted to go. I was, emotional, and just didn't I wanted a new lease on life. But to be quite frank, I didn't have a lot of interest out there. Ron Green was at Indiana State, and he said I could come over there and be the sixth man. Coach Cruz told me if I come to Evansville, he'd build the whole program around me. And as I stated to you early in this podcast, I'm not very smart, but I could figure that one out. And decisions I ever made, and I love playing for Coach Cruz. He put me in a leadership position, and he and the staff, they coached us hard every day. We got better. We made strides. I'd be lying to you if I told you we accomplished everything that we wanted, because we never got to the NCAA. We were able to get to the NIT and win a game my senior year, and then got beat by Dana Barros, and Boston College was my last game. But just the way that Coach and our program and the way the community was revitalized and really wrapped us up around their arms. I mean, it was a school of whatever we were at that time, about 2,500, and we're getting 8, 9, 10,000, and then it'd go to 11. I mean, it's just amazing the community support that you would get down there. And it was fun, because you could feel it, the turning of it, and we were getting better. And I think my junior year we were picked last, and we actually won the league and was the number 1 seed in the tournament. So met some great friends, lifelong relationships with a lot of the teammates there, and just really enjoyed it.
Did you torch Ron Green and the Sycamores after you went down there?
Well, they weren't in the league at that particular time.
Oh, I forgot.
And I'm not one to brag, Billy, but we did play them in the non-conference, and we were 2-0 against them. So,
you played 2 years at Evansville, and you're number 22 or number 23 on the all-time scoring list. That's incredible.
Well, and a lot of that credit goes to my teammates and Coach Cruz. I mean, he put me in a position a lot of times, and he put me in my sweet spots where I could have success. The biggest difference probably from the Big Ten, and at that particular time we were in the MCC, is a guy my size at 6'5", 225 pounds, I could score inside a lot easier and get fouled, where it was a lot tougher in the Big Ten. The size difference gave me some issues. And again, he put me in a position where he wanted me, to score, and he set up things, and that part I'll be forever indebted.
In Evansville, what a great program and roller coaster from national championships to losing the whole team to just dreadful event when the plane crash, and then to bring it back up. It's a great story.
Yeah, it was, and we did anniversaries, while I was there as a player and as a coach, and man, I get teary eyed, I just talking about it, to be honest. There's people that, Mike Duff was on that flight. I didn't know Mike Duff, and we watched him on TV playing the state tournament. He was a single season all-time leading scorer at that. I mean, he was a Larry Bird of he would have been a Larry Bird type player at Evansville. I mean, just a great player. Mr. Siegel had coached up in Indianapolis Pike for a long time. I mean, I can, go on, and they came back as probably the last 3 or 4 years I was there, and they did a documentary on it, and it's hard, and I can remember I was probably in 5th or 6th grade, and I remember my dad, talking to me about it, and I didn't know anybody, I was such a young guy, but just when you think about it, what a horrible, horrible tragedy. And, and we always, wanted to try to do things where, those involved in that, their spirit would always live through the basketball program at Evansville.
How well, or how do you still have a relationship, or how well did you get along with Steve Alford?
Great. Yeah, we do. He's been a great friend, and we had a tragic event in our family. It's been 2 years ago, this past July, where I had a daughter. She's 34, and she had cardiac arrest in her sleep, and she went without oxygen to her brain for 20-25 minutes. She has a serious brain injury, and Steve's one guy that and I had a lot of people that have been just you really get overwhelmed by all the support that you get when something like that happens. But he's one, he constantly texted and called, and it really meant a lot.
I mean, you were the Illinois Mr. Basketball in 1983. Of course, he was Indiana Mr. Basketball in 1983. I had the unfortunate of being sitting on the bench when he scored 57 points at Hinkle Fieldhouse against my high school my freshman year. So what a fabulous game that was at Hinkle Fieldhouse there in Indiana high school basketball.
A lot of people realize how good he was, but I mean, Steve was probably 6 foot, probably 160 pounds, soaking wet when he first got to Indiana. And I know you remember the game. We beat Carolina and Michael Jordan our freshman year, and Steve, as a freshman, was the best player on the floor that night. He was a confident. He still is today. I mean, he really believes, but he put in the time and effort to build up that confidence, and he was a heck of a college player. He played in the NBA when I think a lot of people thought he couldn't. He's had a great college coaching career, but I think he's a terrific guy.
When you're getting toward the end of your basketball career at University of Evansville, when does coaching cross your mind before that? Do you continue to think, I'm going to play a little pro ball? And at that age, you're not as mature. What was your kind of process of thinking of what you wanted to do with your life post University of Evansville?
I'd say that last part, of not being mature, that was probably I thought I was going to be the next Larry Bird, and go to the NBA and not, and I really didn't think about coaching. I played, I went to three camps. I went to the Pacers, I went to the Celtics, and I went with the Jazz. I was able to stick with the Jazz throughout the entire preseason. Myself and Billy Donovan were cut on the last day that particular year. It really wasn't until then, or actually wasn't then. I went to the CBA, which is the G League now, played a year there. And then they had a league for 6'5" and under called the World Basketball League. I played 2 years in Springfield, Illinois. And then, it just, I was married and I had a young daughter, and, I worked at, had about half of my master's done. And that's when I really started thinking about, what do I want to do, and I remember I was thinking about maybe getting into insurance, and had interviewed for the freshman coaching job out at Wrights High School in Evansville. And Coach Cruz called me in, and he said, I want you to finish that master's. You can help us coach for a year, and, we'll just kind of see where it goes. And so that's what I did. And I fell in love with it. I really liked it. And if you could coach first and play second, we'd all be better players, because I don't think players really understand everything. I know I didn't, that coaches put into it. It's every day. They're not only, thinking of ways to make you a better player. They're, trying to think of ways that, you get better academically, you can be a better person. But they're constantly, thinking about you and putting effort in to you and the other guys on the team. And, but that's when I decided that I wanted to coach.
And what kind of path does that lead you down to? A little bit of uncertainty compared to the other things that you were going on in your life and playing a game of basketball. Coaching a little bit different. So how do you get on that path? Who were some of the people that helped you on that path?
Well, Coach Cruz was the guy. He was the man, and he gave me the opportunity. And my wife, I'd be, she had a job at Old National Bank there. I wasn't making, all these entry level positions. You just don't make a lot of money. And she had a job, and she let me chase that dream of now being a coach. And but it was Coach Cruz. He gave me the opportunity. And eventually I got moved into what they called the restricted earnings spot. And then eventually I went to Wartburg College in '96, coached 1 year up there, and then had the opportunity to come back to Evansville in a full-time spot. And, I enjoyed it, and I certainly, enjoyed, the staff at Evansville, the players, and just the chance to work with Coach Cruz.
Did you always, in coaching, have you always wanted to stay kind of in a certain area of the country? I know you went probably out of, but you're good friends with the coach of Clemson. You guys actually coached together at Evansville. But do you feel more comfortable in the Midwest?
Not really. It just kind of worked out that way. And we really liked, Coach Cruz, a great guy to work for. We were having a lot of success down there. The players that you were able to coach, the community, a great place to raise a family. There's just a lot of things, but no, I never, I had interviewed for a position in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and other positions in other parts of the country. It just didn't work out. So, but it, it was a good place to work.
In coaching in college basketball, do they come looking for you, or is it who or what kind of path is it taken to get a coaching job or to continue your coaching career?
Well, to get one, it is networking. Again, I got in because of my college coach. Being a former player certainly helped me, and but just networking. Trying to meet people. The Final Four is a great place at the convention there, coaches convention, coaches all over the place, just getting your face and your resume in front of people. I never really had anybody coming after me, Billy. I had to pursue it. And a lot of that, you certainly have more success if there's people around the job that or it's in an area where maybe you had some success. But I'd be, I wouldn't be telling you the truth if I didn't tell you that I've had a lot of help in any position that I've been able to get. I've had a lot of people make a lot of phone calls, a lot of references. I've been blessed in the support that I've had when I've gotten jobs.
Tell us about your experience at Southern Illinois.
Well, it was great. We
Division II, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We went in there and we just, we weren't very good the first year and brought in a lot of new players in the second year, and guys started to buy in. We had a young man that was already in the program there by the name of Bauer Sachs, maybe one of the best, maybe the best leader I've ever been around. Just outstanding. And we had a lot of good players come there. It was a great school, great location. We played in a great Division II conference, kind of caught lightning in a bottle. The second year I think we doubled our wins. The third year we were in the NCAA tournament. The fourth year we're in the Elite Eight. And I can remember the chancellor telling me, he just said, hey, and he was a big fan. He came to all the games, Vaughn Vandergrift, and he just said, hey, all the other athletic programs are pretty successful here. If you can get this basketball program going, we're going to go Division I. And when we made that big jump and we went to the Elite Eight, he caught me and he said, we've done it. And that's when they decided to make the move. And now SIU Edwardsville is actually in our conference here, the Ohio Valley. We played up there this season in the Vidal Bean Center, which brought back some good memories.
Did Larry Buddy Graham coach down there?
He did. He did. He great friend, great coach, known him for a long time. That we had battles with them right up here in Lance Gym. That's the name of our gymnasium here at Eastern. We played them in 3 super sectionals up here. They beat us twice, and we beat them my last year as a senior to set the record at 65. But always maintained a friendship with him. He lived in Edwardsville when I was the coach there, and terrific basketball mind and loved the game. What an ambassador. I think he's in both the Illinois High School Hall of Fame and the Indiana High School Hall of Fame. It's just amazing. He's from Scotland, Indiana, which my mother-in-law and her family is from Odin. I think they actually went out on a date one time. So it's a small world, but he's a guy that I always admired. He had great teams at Madison, and he was a great coach at SIU Edwardsville, and just a real great guy.
Yeah, we lost him a little too early, in my opinion.
Me too.
Yeah. I apologize for getting on that there. So you leave Evansville. What takes you to Eastern Illinois?
Well, more than anything, just, a chance to be a head coach again. And then, Charleston is about an hour and 15 minutes from our hometown. We played in the holiday tournament up here for 4 years. We played in 4 super sectionals. My brother graduated from Eastern. A lot of the kids from our hometown, they come here. So, there was a real familiarity with, the program. We came to summer camp up here. Tons of respect for Coach Samuels and all the players that had played here. But opportunity and proximity. And then as you get into the process, a chance to work for a guy like Tom Michaels, who was a great high school player in Illinois, played on the state championship team at Carlisle. He went on to play at Illinois for Coach Henson. So, he's got a basketball background. And so I just, I've always kind of had my eye on this situation for a long time, and just feel real fortunate to be the head coach here.
What did COVID do to your program? How much did it slow it down, and how do you rebound from that?
I think it slowed everybody down. Really for us here, we just, we came in and I've taken over, I guess, 3 different programs. And the number one thing you try to do is try to re-recruit the current players. We had a lot of success in the other places. We didn't have it here. We had several guys that we worked out for 4 or 5 weeks, and they decided they wanted to jump in the portal. So we lost 4 or 5 weeks in recruiting. So we ended up signing, I think we signed 8 kids, maybe 9, and 7 of those were in May. So we just, you couldn't go out and watch kids play, did everything virtual, no on-campus visits, so on and so forth. So it was, that part was tough, but going into the season and everything this year, I mean, COVID really wasn't a big factor for us here. I mean, everybody, with us was vaccinated, and we just had some fit issues with maybe some of our guys, and we're trying to work through that, and we feel like we're heading the right direction.
You guys got a strong conference.
We do, but we just lost Belmont, Murray State, and Austin Peay. Belmont and Murray's going to the Missouri Valley, and Austin Peay is going to the Atlantic Sun. We picked up Southern Indiana out of Evansville, which is one of the premier Division II programs in college basketball. Arkansas Little Rock, Darrell Walker is the coach down there. Those guys, remember those great Arkansas teams with Sidney Moncrief, and then Lindenwood, which is in St. Charles, just outside of St. Louis. So it is a great league. It's a league that has had several players, go on and play in the NBA. Obviously, John Morant, kind of to everybody's mind there. But it's a league that we certainly feel like we can have success.
What I'm assuming that at Evansville, you recruited the state of Indiana pretty hard, Kentucky as hard as you could. What is it a different swing now that you're in the state of Illinois? Do you still recruit Indiana? We do,
and you'll see here in about a week when the national letter of intent, but we do recruit Indiana, obviously Illinois. We recruited Illinois pretty hard when we were at Evansville, but where we're located, Charleston's about 2 hours from Indianapolis, 2 hours from St. Louis, and maybe 2.5, 3 hours to Chicago. So there's a good triangle right there where you can get kids in central and southern Illinois, over in the St. Louis, metropolitan area there, and then up into the Indianapolis area. So I think from a recruiting standpoint, we're pretty blessed. We've got a great area to get kids from.
If you're not an experienced college coach, how hard is it for someone who hasn't coached the game of basketball in college to come in and follow all the rules?
Well, I think it'd be tough. I mean, I've been doing it a long time, and there's a lot of coaches, and we're lucky we have a compliance person in our department that we can run right down the hall and ask questions to. I mean, the rules are changing, all the time, and we have compliance meetings monthly to keep us up to date with things. But, I think, for a new person coming in, I think it would be difficult. For us, we've got a foundation, a base on, how to operate, but it's still an ever-changing climate. I mean, you can look at just the last 4 or 5 years, with the portal and now this, with the NIL and image, it's crazy. It's really changed. I mean, there's over 1,000 kids in the portal, right now. I don't know what the average, three kids a team, going in the portal. And I was a transfer, Billy, so I don't want to, but when I transferred, you really had to think that thing through, because you knew you were going to have to sit a year. And whether people think that meant it did, you know what I mean? Because I really had to, and that was a tough year, not being able to compete where you're just practicing. So, but it was a great year. It ended up being probably one of the most influential years of my life. But there's a lot of things that continue to change in our profession.
How hard is it to continue to watch basketball after your season is over?
Oh, it's not too hard. I mean, with us, we've got several kids that we want to sign, so we're pretty focused on that. But I think at the end of the day, you gotta move on, and especially in today's climate. And you can't. You got to find a way to enjoy it, and learn from your mistakes, but really find the positives out of it, build on that, and that's what we're trying to do here at Eastern Illinois.
Does your wife tune you out when you talk about basketball, or is she pretty on the level with you?
No, I've been very blessed there. I mean, my whole family, they all still come to games, and they've always been a big part of anything and everything that we do. Having the players over, for Thanksgiving, Christmas, just for a cookout, whatever it may be. I've been lucky. They've bought in to the nth degree. Actually, my oldest son played for me at Evansville. He was there 5 years. And then my youngest son is actually a manager for us up here at Eastern Illinois. So I've been real lucky with that part.
Coach Simmons, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Sarah Taufinger's name. Did I get it correct?
Yeah. Her and her husband are just dynamite people, and they're so supportive of everything here at Eastern Illinois. But the basketball program and myself and our players, they love them dearly. My kids, my granddaughter, they're just terrific people who want to give and want to help others, and we're blessed to have them a part of our program.
Coach Simmons, I know I ran a little bit long. We had technical difficulties, which I'll say is my fault. You can tell I've been married 3 times because I'm accepting responsibility. But thank you so much for spending some time with us. Best of success at Eastern Illinois University, and I appreciate your time. And I have interviewed Coach Gene Cady. I have interviewed Coach Del Harris. You just have a way to talk to people, and I was a little bit nervous today because I hadn't done an interview in quite a while. And you're nice and relaxed and comfortable, and best of success. And I know you guys will be a success. I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you very much for reaching out, Billy. I've enjoyed it. And if you ever want to do it again, or if there's anything that we could ever do for you, please don't hesitate to let us know.
Thank you so much, Coach, and enjoy the game tonight.
Thank you.